said before, the deadlift, it's one of the most technical movements that you can do in the gym. The more technical being Olympic lifts, the less technical than just being, say, a machine movement. But it's very important even outside the gym, because if you can't hinge at the hips, which is essentially what you're doing here, if you can't do that, then you're kind of at risk for, we'll say, doing activities of daily living where you could end up straining your lower back. That's not to try and frighten anyone, but that's just a kind of a fact of the matter. If you can't move efficiently, then you're going to find a way to move, and it's more than likely going to be inefficient, and the risk of injury, especially when you get into your senior years, it could be higher than had you learned how to move efficiently, had you learned manual handling, as something as basic as it may seem, that can really stand to you over time. So you're hinging at the hips to start the movement off. So given we're here during COVID and everyone is using backpacks for their home workouts, I hope, if you don't have any equipment or if you're unfortunate, and we've got the backpack here, hips here, all the joints and stuff there. So you're starting off, your hips would be all aligned, and then you break and you're moving across that plane. So your hips don't move down or up or any other direction, they just literally go straight back, alright? And on this plane, your shoulders just drop straight down, they don't go any other direction really. So you will see people deadlift in different ways, and there will be slight variations, across different people, but for the most part, if you got 100 people, the majority of them would be moving with their hips going straight back and their shoulders dropping straight down, right? So think breaking at the hips, and then what happens actually in the body as this movement occurs. So the hamstrings, they get tight, there's tension in the hamstrings. The glutes should start to absorb a bit of the tension, go to work as the weight is being lowered under control. The abs here, they're actually fully engaged as well. So if you think your torso here, it's kind of, whereas before when it was in a standing position, it was fine, it was well supported. Now it's under load and it's in a little bit of a compromised position because you're leaning forward. So how do you protect your back and all your upper body musculature, your joints and all that kind of stuff? So to protect that, you engage the abs to keep everything nice and tight and aligned. Alright, it's all about alignment. So even though you've gone from a starting position here to this position, there really shouldn't be a massive amount of change in your spine. So if you keep the glutes engaged and the abs engaged, they will do the job of keeping that aligned. Alright, so it's when people, they'll get their spine into this type of position or excessively like that type of position. So that's slightly wrong and slightly wrong, okay? So it could be the case where one of these positions is okay, but for the most part, let's just keep it simple and aim for a straight flat back, alright? So based on that, the glutes and the abs are going to protect your back. They're going to make sure you don't get into a compromised position like this or like that, alright? And one way to do that is through proper breathing. So you engage the glutes and abs by taking in a nice big inhale, keep everything nice and tight, and then it's nice and flat. You can move through the full range of motion with everything supported, and you can engage the main muscles. So you'll feel the tension on the hamstrings throughout, and then that way you know that you're working the three main muscles you want to feel in the deadlift. So hamstrings, glutes and abs, alright? If you're feeling it in your lower back here, you know you're doing something wrong, okay? And that is a tricky rule, because no matter how good you are at deadlifting, no matter how long you've been deadlifting, and no matter like what point of your lifting career you're at really, the deadlift will strain your lower back. That's a kind of a sad reality of the situation, but you can minimize how much you feel in your lower back. So for example, a beginner who's never done it before, they might feel it from the first rep to the last rep, but an experienced lifter who's able to consciously engage their glutes, abs and hamstrings effectively, they can minimize the amount of stress they feel on their lower back to a greater extent than the beginner. Alright, so just a quick recap. Engage these three muscles here: hamstrings, glutes and abs. Keep the back straight, alright? Avoid these positions, compromised positions. The risk of injury goes up for the most part, okay? As you become a more advanced lifter, that might change, but for a beginner, think flat back, alright? You want to feel tension in all of these three muscles, okay? And even as you go through the range of motion, so you start flat here, and then your back leans forward. You still want to keep everything straight. You still want to keep it engaged, maybe even more engaged as you get to this position as opposed to standing upright, okay? So as the weight starts to pull you down more, you might have to engage these muscles around the core area to keep everything nice and tight that little bit more, but that's completely normal. You want the muscles to be doing the work. You don't want to start to feel it on your joints of your lower back or anywhere along the spine, okay? So hopefully that helps. Hinge, move back across this plane, shoulders move up and down along this plane, and keep it nice and simple. Start light if you're unsure of your form. If you're feeling it in your lower back, you're definitely doing something wrong. Reevaluate your form, record it, and improve over time. Make better progress.